Thanks for reminding me. So it's a general class, but it's I've got a sort of theme in my mind that we're working around the Virasana cycle. So I use the word cycle because often we'll go through a series of poses that belong to the same group, if you like. And the Virasana has its own distinct set of practices, yeah. But we're going to start off anyway in the semi-supine. Just take us a moment to become still and to start off with the basic elements of the practice, as always, mindfulness of the body. Just, as it were, tuning in with yourself, so to speak, taking the temperature after the end of the day, noticing how you are. Maybe just quickly tracing through the day from how you've been since this morning, since the afternoon to now, just noticing those different points in the day where you can observe change in your experience. Just letting go through the bones of the body. Let the floor take your weight and yield as much as you can. Especially letting go of the spine and the structures around the spine, paraspinal muscles, lumbar region, softening. Neck and face softening. So our practice is going to be a little bit more in the winter mode tonight. We'll take it a bit more slowly. One phase will be on the feet doing a few sun salutations, and then one other thing, but not much on the floor today. And bring into the scope of your awareness, into the field of your awareness, your breathing. Just letting your breath be there without trying to make the breath happen in any way for the time being. I'm just going to give you another minute there, and I'd just like you to keep on this process of tuning in, staying present to the experience. Body, breath, and the internal world as well, however that manifests. Presence of awareness. Just keep softening the body. So we're going to start off with this sense of yielding the body. And the first few poses are going to be very, very yielding, encouraging that yielding, although there's a bit of movement. So now, placing the arms out to the side, we're going to move into a simple reclining twist with the feet apart. So if you think about placing your feet sort of the width of your mat, and then just letting your legs roll and your pelvis roll, but anchoring the spine to the floor towards the right side. So keep anchoring through the shoulders, and let the pelvis and legs roll to the right side. And again, just come back to a position of yielding. And then make a transition back to the center and to the center to the other side. in that same fashion, just letting go. And yielding again, keeping the shoulders heavy, upper back grounded. Shoulders rooting to the floor, as it were. Okay, bring your legs back again to the center. And I'd like you to close the space between the legs so that you press the legs together gently. Pick the feet up off the floor. So the thighs come to right angles. And now dynamically, we're going to roll the pelvis and the legs to the right side, then to the left side in that way. Okay, so with the breathing now, refocusing on the thoracic area. So we're rooting the shoulders, and the head's going to turn in relation to the rest of the body in the opposite direction, as much as you're able to do that. Okay, so try and keep your movements very steady, very smooth, but consistent. So when you arrive to one side or the other side, you're not resting now into the position, you're just moving straight back up to the center, rolling through to the other side. Rooting through the shoulders. Everything else moves around the stability of the shoulders. Okay, so pelvis and legs roll one side, the neck rolls, head rolls. Appendicular part of the skeleton stays stable, rooted through the shoulders. Okay, when you bring your legs over to the right side next time, resting them on the floor, keep rooting through the shoulders. And you're going to extend laterally out to the side your upper leg. So with the left leg extending out to the side. Okay, extending through the foot. Bringing a bit more energy into the practice through the upper leg. Grounding and breathing. And now to the other side, bringing the legs together, bringing the upper leg in. One smooth movement to the other side, extending your right leg out to the left side. Again, grounding and rooting through the shoulders. Grounding and rooting through the shoulders and the arms. Extending through the leg. Okay, bringing the upper leg in to match the lower leg. Saskia. Come back to the center into semi-supine position. So, hi Saskia, we're just about to come up now. So we're going to change our positions just so that you just don't lie down because we're about to come into Virasana. Okay. save you a downward journey. Now come into Virasana. I'd like you to take a block if you have one there or something, because we're going to be in and out of Virasana a few times. So let's start off higher and eventually we'll take the block away. So I'm going to start off from Virasana and move towards forward bending. And we're going to make some alterations with the shoulders, different sorts of postures with the shoulders. Okay, so sitting in Virasana, really feel that you can drop the density of the pelvis down on the surface really, really easily. So that's why I say use a block, because it helps us to let go of the pelvis fully. Just rocking your pelvis backwards and forwards a couple of times to find the center point where you feel that the spine is most upright. So neither encouraging the curve into the lumbar, nor encouraging the curve into the upper spine either. Just keep the spine neutral, gently extending up. Okay, interlocking the fingers, bring the hands forwards and bring the hands up on one smooth movement on an in-breath. And see if you can maintain the neutrality in the spine here. And we're pressing down gently, very gently through the feet, just so that we are engaging just lightly through the bandhas here. So by pressing the backs of the feet onto the floor, you're not exactly engaging Pada Bandha, but you are going to engage to some extent Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha. Hands spreading, so we've got Hasta Bandha alive in the hands. And on the in-breath, we're just going to encourage a little bit more lengthening through the trunk. So this might be quite subtle then. Might just feel like the skin stretching a bit and not much else. Dropping down on the exhalation. Okay, keeping a sense of lift on the exhalation as well as the inhalation. Okay, you're going to bring your palms together. So the fingers are pointing upwards, like you to bring the palms together. Okay, and I'm going to encourage us now to tip from the pelvis. So keeping the kidneys lifted, going to tip from the pelvis and take the trunk forwards. Right out of the way. So the small finger side of the hand comes down onto the floor. Okay, and you keep the hands together, because my hands are going to go out of sight for a moment from the camera. Okay, and then slide the hands forwards and release the head down so that you make yourself really compact by resting the rib cage onto the thighs. Okay, keep lifting the heart as far forwards as you can as you come down, and eventually release the head down towards the floor as well. So there's a mild sense of stretching through the trunk as you lengthen the arms forwards, keeping the pelvis back as far as you can. So although it's not completely obvious, there is a sort of opposing movement here of the pelvis drawing back and the rib cage drawing forwards. Yeah, as there is in a lot of movements actually, the weight of the pelvis grounding. At the same time, we're sort of gently lifting out of the pelvis through the trunk. Now connect with the breath, like you to connect with the breath, and just see if you can maintain the breath there steady. It's a more restricted position for the breath, like quite a lot of these movements. You find yourself breathing against resistance. Yeah. So just gently encouraging that breathing into the resistance, whatever position you find yourself in. So really explore and feel the full capacity of the diaphragm, even in these strange positions where it seems like what we're doing goes against the grain of the movement of the diaphragm. Yeah. So where does the movement go? Where do you feel the movement in the breath? Okay, lifting up your head, and then you're going to slide your hands back in. So as you come up, I'd like you to come up Try to come up anyway with the spine that's lengthening. Come up slowly and try and come back to this neutral position again with the spine. We're going to reach the hands out, and I'd like you to arrange your hands into reverse namaste. Okay. Or if you like, you can, of course, just take hold of your wrists. You don't have to force your hands together. It's a kind of a more, feels like a more complete experience to bring the palms of the hands together, doesn't it? But if that doesn't work for the wrists, then by all means, just take hold of the wrists. So just encourage a little bit of a lift through the kidneys here. Keep the hands gently pressing in towards the spine. But try not to, what can happen here, the obvious thing that can happen here is that we start to overextend forwards. We extend the spine and we press the belly and the chest out, okay? But try to keep the chest quiet into the body so the heart stays fairly quiet. Another way of saying keep the spine neutral. Okay. Now, once again, we're going to tip from the pelvis and start our movement forwards. Okay, you're going to keep the belly moving away. The navel moving away from the pubis. At some point, you're going to bring the rib cage down again onto the thighs. And hopefully, you can reach the floor with your head. Slight intensification within the Virasana cycle compared to what we just did. So we're not going to stay here so long. We'll stay here for 10 breaths. Again, noticing where you feel the movement. As you shift into a different posture, the dynamic of the breath shifts accordingly. And then coming up on an in-breath, I'd like you to extend the heart forwards, keep the pelvis drawing back as you come up the spine that's long. Okay. Extend your arms out to the side and place your hands forwards. So what we're going to do now is come into downward facing dog for a moment. So you might want to walk your knees back a little bit. Got a block there. Take that out of the way for a moment. Okay. So pressing the pelvis up and grounding the front parts of the feet, grounding the hands. Finding downward facing dog at this stage of the practice. Engaging the fingers lightly so that we keep the shoulders released. And then just breathe through the pose. Allow the pose to be sustained by the breath. So then releasing the knees to the floor, I'd like you to sit between the heels, but take the knees wider this time. So we're going to come into Bodhiyoga-35-Virasana. You might want to use a block again. If you wish to use a block, that's fine, okay? If you can fit a block in there, you usually need to bring it forwards. If you notice what I'm practicing on a mat, I've left my yoga mat in Surivana, so I'm going to practice on a rug. Kind of serves for some poses. So what we want to do here is arrange the knees so that we take them wide, bring the big toes together. I sort of stay within, don't go to a maximum position, keep yourself into a sub-maximal position with the knees. but fairly wide, yeah. Come back again, find a neutral point with the spine. And I'd like you to interlock the fingers again. So interlocking the fingers, palms spreading, press forwards and lift up. As you lift up, dropping the pelvis down. Bringing the elbows in towards each other a little bit more, keeping the shoulder blades descending. So sort of squeezing into the midline with the trunk, dropping the pelvis down. So these are small actions and they're small adjustments that you can play with if you like, because you're all fairly practiced, we're working a bit more with refining. Being aware of the movement of the breath, it's going to be more towards the upper body now. Notice you'll feel more an expansion of the ribs around the back of the body, more of a lifting of the chest. Okay, bring in, so if you can maintain the lift, bring the hands, then I must stay for a moment at the heart center, and then we're going to slide the hands forwards. So just slide the hands forwards in front of you, the trunk descending on the floor, keeping the navel moving away from the pubic bone, heart center moving away from the navel. Okay, if that's too intense for you, if that's too strong on the inner groins, then just take your forearms down on the floor now. If you're a bit more practiced in that area, keep the trunk lengthening out and rest the head down onto the floor. Okay, so find a point where you can sustain that for the next 10 breaths. If it feels too intense, then just adjust yourself and bring yourself a bit higher. Yeah. So one thing I've been encouraging a bit on the my practice over in my own practice, but also on the course, I mentioned this as well last week, that it's good to watch out in the poses to what happens in terms of our response to the pose, because sometimes we get this impulse to leave the posture with a little bit of discomfort. You've got to work very, very finely in that area because you don't want to cause yourself any damage. You don't want to kind of override natural impulses to relieve discomfort. But at the same time, it can be an interesting area to work into that a bit, the resistance that can come up in the poses. Yeah. And you've always got to know how much or how little to do with that. But it's an interesting area. It can be quite fruitful. Extend the time in the poses. So walking the hands in, we're going to come up with a spine that's neutral again. Rocking back onto the pelvis. Just take a pause there for a moment with the hands on the knees. Looking to the horizon, spine long. And then we're going to bring the knees in and adjust ourselves again for the setup for a downward facing dog. Okay, so bringing your hands forwards, knees back. So you can come up in one smooth movement, inhaling, exhaling, pushing up through the pelvis, lengthening the legs. You might need to refresh the knees a little bit so you can walk the dog, lifting and bending the knees one at a time. So we're going to move into a few sun salutations and then one other standing pose. As I said, we're not really going to focus on standing poses, but I want to do something. Okay, so we're going to walk the feet forwards to the front of the mat. Start from standing, soften the knees, lengthen the spine, come up to standing. And for a moment, take Namaste. Fairly relaxed at Namaste. We're not going to be overextending anything. So the practice is a little bit more around sort of a combination of yielding and activity tonight. So the body can more or less stand up in the anatomical position without using the muscles. Okay, with the next in-breath, I'd like you to float the arms up, palms turning to the sky. One smooth movement. Introducing a little bit of extension through the upper back, looking to the sky. On the out breath, taking the palms down, folding all the way forwards, stepping your right foot back, coming into lunge with the left foot forwards, looking forwards to the horizon, bringing the heart center forwards, lifting the kidneys gently towards the heart center. Okay, stepping your front foot back, transitioning down to 8-point pose to Bhujangasana, lifting the rib cage. Floating ribs stay down, looking to the horizon, keep the elbows in, tucking the toes under and lowering the chest down. Press yourself back into downward facing dog. One smooth movement from there. Looking forwards, I'm going to step the left foot forwards and step the back foot forwards, folding into the legs. On the in-breath, same again, keeping the knees soft, palms looking at the sky. One smooth movement. Exhale, bringing the hands down to the sides of the body. We're going to do that again, floating through each part of the sequence with the breath. On the in-breath, floating the hands up, a bit of an extension in the spine. Folding forwards, keeping the knees locked, or knees straight, or bending them as you need to, yeah? Left foot goes back, right foot forwards, looking forwards to the horizon. Kidneys drawing towards the heart a little bit. Keeping the gaze soft, eyes soft in the head. 8-point pose, elbows into the side of the body. Through to Bhujangasana, engaging the legs. Exhaling, tucking the chin down, lifting the pelvis up on the next exhale. Inhale, exhale, lift. Looking forward, stepping your left foot forwards, and then the right foot forwards, folding into the legs with a full out breath. Okay, next inhalation, use the inhalation to carry you back up. And bringing the hands down, back into Tadasana. Back to Tadasana. Tadasana once again, float the hands up on the next in-breath, arching and extending through the upper back. Okay, out breath, you just go at your own rhythm because my breath is probably a bit longer. On the exhale, stepping your right foot back, gaze to the horizon, kidneys lifting upwards gently, shoulder blades down. Okay, stepping that foot back, come into Bhujangasana, from Bhujangasana, into Bhujangasana, from Bhujangasana to downward facing dog. One transition, one breath, one movement. Looking forward, stepping your right foot forwards, then your left foot forwards, folding into the legs again. Exhaling fully as you fold into the legs and use the next in-breath to carry you back up to Tadasana. Smooth movement, continuous movement. I'm pleased to know I'm getting another camera next week so I can get all of myself into the frame. So bringing your feet together and your knees together, I'd like you to take your hands on your hips and bend the knees. Bring the front pelvis up in. In other words, you're tucking your tailbone under a little bit here. Okay. Keep the legs pressing in towards each other. Extend the arms out to the side. So really, really lengthening out of the shoulders through the arms to the fingertips. And then take the hands back onto the hips for a moment again. Okay, just check again that the frontal pelvis is lifting in towards the navel. Tailbone tucking under, keeping the spine lifted. Reach out again. And we're going to fold the right arm over the left arm. So we're taking the upper part of the pose is Garudasana. And the lower part of the pose is Utkatasana. Okay. Next in breath, raising the elbows. Exhale, lower them down again. Okay, just folding in gently on into the trunk on the exhale. On the inhale, we lift up again, both picking up the back, picking up the elbows. Okay, exhaling, folding in on ourselves again. Once again, lifting the upper back, lifting the elbows on the in-breath. Out breath, release the arms out to the side. Straighten the legs for a moment, come back to Tadasana. Pause for a moment. Okay, then I'd like you once again to sit down, bending the knees, frontal pelvis drawing in towards the navel, tailbone tucking under. Reach out with the arms, extending as far as you can out to the side. Draw the fingers and the thumb, palm of the hand spreading. So we've got the expression of Hasta and Padabandha in this pose. Feet gently engaging and pressing to the floor, hands spreading. Okay, folding the opposite arm over now. So I think the left in my case. Once again, on your next in breath, encouraging a lifting of the elbows, lifting of the upper back. Be aware of the pelvis and the position of the pelvis. So keep the awareness in the low body here as well. Exhaling, folding in. So you allow the back to come into flexion and then you engage extension again. Lifting on the inhale. All the way through the back, drawing the elbows high. Exhale, folding in again on the trunk. Okay. We'll do that 2 more times. Once again, next in breath, lifting. Raising the elbows as high as you can. Exhale and release the arms out to the side. Straighten the legs again. Arms into the side of the body. Come back to Tadasana for a moment. Still point. Okay, with your next in breath, I'd like you to float the arms up, palms of the hands looking to the sky. Extending through the upper back, arching through the upper back. Hands going back, looking up to the sky. Okay, with your next out breath, folding forwards. Take your hands down and step your right foot back. Coming back into the lunge pose, looking to the horizon. Again, keeping the face soft and the gaze soft in the eyes. Stepping your front foot back and coming through the 8-point pose once again. Into Bhujangasana. We're going to maintain Bhujangasana for 10 breaths if we can. Yeah. 10 breaths is too much. Then just take yourself into downward facing dog. Engaging the back, the spinal structures. Diaphragm supports the back, the legs are involved with the pose as well. So it's standing all the way back with our awareness to the feet, to the tips of the toes. Thighs engaged. All right, exhaling, chin in. Press up the pelvis on the out breath. Downward facing dog. Okay, I'd like you to Lift up onto the balls of the feet. Turn the gaze forwards, so looking forwards towards the hands, and then lower the knees down. You might want to use a block again, or you might not, if you even have a block. And we're going to come back into Virasana. So personally, I always like moving the calf muscles out to the side as I do this. It just helps me to close the backs of the knees. Yeah. Okay, reaching out to the side at the height of the shoulders, palms facing forwards. We're going to feed the left hand behind us and up between the shoulder blades. So using full range of motion, turning the arm all the way in, bringing it all the way around. Use what you have. And the other arm inwardly rotates and extends up and back. So if you inwardly rotate the arm, it just makes it a lot easier to bring the hand back. And then joining, if you can, the fingertips together. I'm assuming most of us can do this okay, I think we can. And then just see if you can allow the spine to come back into a neutral position again, as much as possible, okay? Rounding down through the feet gently, grounding down through the shins gently. The thighs are gently active in the pose here. So we are sitting on the pelvis, but we're also keeping the thighs gently active. Seeing if with each breath in, we can extend the spine gently. We can just play with this idea of lengthening up more through the spine on the in-breath. On the out-breath, we let go, drop the pelvis down again. So in this version of Virasana, you can also come forwards, but it's best to have a block or two arranged in front of you to do that. So I'm not going to do that today, but you can do that with some support to put your elbow on. So undoing the arms, extending the arms out to the side, the height of the shoulders. And then changing to the other side, okay? So same dynamic. Opposite side. Gaze into the horizon, keeping the neck, the throat, the face rested as possible, keeping the gaze soft in the eye sockets. So you're establishing an internal awareness of your body, of your breathing, of your inner goings on, as well as being aware of the space that you're practicing. Of the sensations in the base of the pose, of your responses to the base of the sensations. So bringing it all into the sphere of your practice. All right, I'd like you now to release, undo, take the arms out to the side, and we're going to come off the knees for a moment. Just come onto all fours and extend the leg back one at a time, just to free the knees up for a moment. And then from what looks like Virasana, we're not going to do Virasana, we're going to fold forwards over the legs, keeping the knees together as much as we can. I'd like you to place your right forearm on the floor so that the elbows sit sort of under the shoulder and the hand comes in. Okay, so the hand comes in towards the left arm. So you've got your forearm on the floor. And then you're going to place your left hand on the sacrum and begin to lift your left shoulder and turn gently towards the left side. As you do that, keep a sense of the spine taking its full length through to the crown of the head. Yeah, so you've got the belly resting on the thighs, but you're using the arm on the floor just to help you turn out to the left side gently. See if you can take everything with you except for the lumbar spine. So keep the lumbar spine where it is. With the thoracic, chest, and shoulders rotating. It's not quite like this. It's a nice basic twist. Not as intense as the quarter dog pose. Okay, and then swap your arms over and twist to the other side, towards the right side. Hand rests on the sacrum. And keep your trunk in the center, lengthening the spine. And so if you can take everything with you except for the lumbar spine, okay? So the heart, chest and shoulders. Okay, rotating back to the floor. Take the forearms down onto the floor in front of you. Come up onto the all fours position. So you've got the knees beneath the hips and the elbows underneath the shoulders, more or less. Okay, palms of the hands planted down on the floor, fingers extending. And tucking your toes under. We're just going to do this one time. So we're going to come into the dolphin position. Lifting up the pelvis. Keep a fairly long base, so don't think too much about walking the feet right in. So you can press down through the forearms and generate a sense of moving the energy towards the pelvis via the forearms through the shoulders. Okay, and releasing the knees down to the floor. Sit back for a moment in one version or another you'd like to take of child pose. 10 breaths. Okay, if you'd like to place your hands down on the floor beneath your shoulders, press yourself up, and then sit down and bring your legs in front of you. I'm going to come into the basis of, well, it's wide foot seated. position, basically. Upavista Konasana setup. Just rocking your pelvis forwards and backwards a few times. Backwards is meaning all the way back so that the spine does flex in a way that we don't normally encourage to do the pose. And so we're just mobilizing the hips and the spine. Do that 3 or 4 times. And then roll your pelvis forwards to the maximum so that your spine then lengthens again. As you re-clarify that sense of lengthening through the spine, the neutrality of the spine. And I'm going to, with the fingers on the floor, we're going to turn the trunk towards the right leg so the heart center turns towards the knee, or the intention is to turn the heart center towards the knee. Okay, as if it were lining up. You might not actually get there, but that's the intention. All the while growing the spine axially. And extend up the left arm. We're looking to just beyond the right foot. And then we're going to fold over the leg. As we go over towards the leg, you decide how far down you want to come, but keep in mind that you really want to keep the pelvis grounded, the spine rotating and lengthening. Okay. So you're free to work with coming into that as deeply as you want, whilst you just try and maintain those principles, rotation, lengthening through the spine. Kidneys lifting towards the heart center. Keeping the gaze soft in the body. So internally, externally, just exploring this pose in terms of the inner workings of what it takes to maneuver the body into this posture, but also actually outer movement, the space you're taking up, you're aware of that. If you're a bit more practiced and you want to deepen further still, then you can take the hands on the foot. So we're extending through the legs, so we're inviting Pada Bandha in the feet, inviting a lift through Mula Bandha. Okay, inhaling and coming up, walking the hands by the side of the leg, turn to the center for a moment. We're going to rock our pelvis again backwards and forwards, say 5 times. So retroversion, anteversion of the pelvis. And then with the fingertips down on the floor, right hand in front, left hand behind, rotating towards the left leg. Okay. And next in breath, extending up your right arm. So encouraging a full lengthening of the right side of the body. And as you come forwards, lengthening the left side of the body as well. Okay. And again, just experimenting with the depth you want to come into this posture, just bearing in mind this, keeping the awareness of rotation of the trunk, lengthening of the spine. So most of that is going to happen in the thoracic in terms of the twisting. Okay, so it's a really intense pose if you think about it, and if you feel it in your body, it's a really intense pose because you've got several things happening at once, including lateral movement. And where there's lateral movement, there's always flexion in the spine as well. Breathing into the pose. Come back to the thread of the breath if you've lost connection with that. Okay, and then raising the body up and turning towards the center again. I'm going to bring the hands, I suggest you bring the hands behind the back of the knee to bring the feet in. It just feels a bit easier on everything. And then I would like you to, if you can find a wall space, or if you haven't got a wall space, at least a sofa space where you can prop your back up against. If you've got a block, that's even better. But at least find a space where you can prop your back up against the wall somewhere. A few of you look like you're going to have trouble finding any space. And you want to bring it back. I mean, you can also sit on a blanket or sit on don't sit on the cold floor or your yoga mat. And I want you to come as close as you can. And if you do have a block, place the block behind the middle of the back. So it's sort of supporting the thoracic and not the lumbar. Okay, and then bring yourself up as close as you can come to the wall. As you probably can't see me that well. And then you're going to bring the feet in. So that we're coming into Baddha Konasana. So it's obviously not reclining Baddha Konasana. It's the more classical Baddha Konasana. So I really recommend putting something under the feet there because it very quickly gets uncomfortable on the outer rim of the foot. Yeah. And we're going to place the hands onto the tops of the knees once you've got the back set up. First of all, just keeping the spine straight, looking forward to the horizon. Chest open. So this might not work, you might not even need to do it, but I do this just to gently press down on the knees, which gently, obviously opens the inner groin line. So there might be no necessity to do that because you might already be touching the floor. But otherwise, it just aids a little bit the opening of the inner legs to the groins. Soles of the feet comprise a part here. Spine long. So this is practically more a yin practice now. We've just turned our practice into a more of a yin practice in the last stage. So it's just experiment with being here as fully as we can be, mindful of the sensations in the body. Basic 4 foundations of our experience. So if we can cultivate something of a stillness of movement, close the eyes if you wish, if you want to. And let your mind roam towards the most obvious sensations in the body right now, whether they be pleasant or unpleasant. And keep a sense of space around that experience. So in other words, keep aware of the whole body and the breath. But in the center of your experience, go towards the most obvious sensations. So be aware of how the sensations of the pose can run through the body from the groins, perhaps reflecting themselves in the sides of the body. So we're opening quite strongly here the internal energy channels that run across the inside of the leg. Some of those are bladder meridian channels. It's going to bring a sense of release through the whole body. We're going to bring the hands underneath the knees, and as we bring the knees up, we'll try and do that passively so we don't use the legs. Slowly bringing the knees up and pushing the feet forwards. And bring the knees up passively. And extend your legs out. Pause for a moment. No idea what time is. Oh, it's that time. It's that time. Well, so we're going to lie down. If you were to come back where we started, into the semi-supine position. From semi-supine position. If we take the feet where they were to start with again, inside the edge of the mat, but the feet apart, knees apart, keeping your feet just inside the outer edge of the mat, inner edge of the mat rather. Arms branching out to the side. Again, grounding the shoulders, or just yielding the weight down through the shoulders and the neck and the head. Okay. And let your legs and pelvis roll passively towards the right side and just let go once you're down there. And see if you can bring this sense of letting go through the entire body for the next 15 breaths. Including the shoulders, including the head, the face, the arms, the hands. Wherever you notice you're not letting go, encourage the breath into that part of the body. And breathe easy, so letting go of trying to breathe diaphragmatically. Checking your upper shoulders and the connection between the upper shoulders and the neck. So you can soften that area a bit more perhaps, and the arms. Okay, when you've taken your full quota of breaths on that side, using as little muscular effort as possible, just transit over to the other side. And then do the same procedure. So letting go and yielding. And when you felt like you've let go, see if you can let go a little bit further still. any fibers, any muscles around the jaw, around the neck and the face. Muscle fibers are still activating, unnecessary, just so you can let go. Go the feet and the hands, mouth, tongue. We're going to do a practice now. More of a body scan than anything else. And you can do this lying down if you wish, or you can come into the meditation posture. So if you want to lie down, I suggest semi-supine. Oh, actually, you can do it in Shavasana as well. Or if you want to be a little bit more meditative, then you can come into the posture of meditation. So this body scanning is actually quite a important practice for us as yoga practitioners and meditators. We should never really be too far away from a body scan, I don't think. Or mindfulness of the breathing, they're like the main anchor points for our practice. This is where we often start from, and often practice can refine itself from these points as well. Body scan is actually used in all the different traditions of meditation. There's always a body scan because the body is our first point of obvious contact with ourselves, in most cases. So I'm just going to encourage you to find optimum relaxation, at the same time be alert. I'll just spend the next minute seeing if you can release into your posture. So you're just using the effort necessary to maintain the posture. You could probably get away with very little. And often after a yoga practice, you can find your posture, especially meditation posture, a lot more easily because we've activated all the postural muscles. We've both activated and relaxed them. So the posture can almost sort of take care of itself. So looking for a sense of ease, lightness, letting go, but at the same time, giving a sense of presence of mind. I'd just like to invite you to become aware of the area of the skin on the legs and the feet. So this just means all those basic superficial sensations, contact, heat, cold. Sense of stretch, sense of coolness, sense of movement of energy, whatever it might be. Let your attention gather around that area. the soles of the feet as well. There's often a lot more going on in the palms and the soles and other parts of the body. And I'll just spread that awareness along the surface of the body through the skin. Now from the base of your abdomen around the pelvis area, and then the base of the abdomen, the buttocks, sides of the body, sides of the pelvis. It's like awareness starts to grow up along the body like a vine growing up a wall or a tree. At some point we come into the palms of our hands and the back of our hands and the forearms to the elbows, upper arms. The upper abdomen and the chest. The back of the body, middle of the back, upper back, across the shoulders. Surface sensation, surface experience. And we're just mindful of it. That's all we're doing, just letting it come into awareness. And now the neck, back, sides, front. So each area has got its own world of sensations going on. The underside of the chin, and then over the face, past the mouth, the nose, eyes, cheeks. So you've encompassed the whole of the area of the head and the face and the neck. And then I would like you now just to explore the possibility of deepening that awareness of the body by penetrating beneath the skin. So just explore that for yourself, moving from the head back down towards the feet. And you might like to do that a few times, and then from the feet back up to the head, each time exploring slightly deeper experience of the body. Just to be an explorer, sort of hunter-gatherer, as it were, of experience. It doesn't have to be conclusive, doesn't have to be full of answers. Just opening up to basic experience of the body, different levels of experience of the body. Be aware that you might find that you can also sense energy in the body. You might not. You might sense the subtle energy that's there. Not a thing, but a process. you might be aware of your subtle anatomy, as it were, the subtle body. So you can include that in your awareness. So please feel free just to carry on practicing like this. Or if you want to stop the practice, you can just stop the practice.